Well, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending on what time you are joining me. My name is Vonnie Judge. This is Ask Vonnie. It is part of the Comps News. Again, it's our real estate company. Again, Comps Academy, kind of a way to keep up with what's going on in the real estate market. This is a weekly webcast. Originally, when we first started it, we were hoping that it would be live on Friday mornings. However, again, time and things change. Again, it's hard to get people to come in, join us on a Friday morning. So again, no worries, whether it's afternoon, evening, Saturday, Friday, or Wednesday. The great thing about when you're recording these sessions, again, no matter if you're not available, they are available. So you can listen at axvonnie.com is a good way to be able to see the recent recordings, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Comps News, or send your questions to questions@compsnews.com. Again, my name is Vonnie Judge. I am the host. I am the instructor. I am many things. But again, for the next 20 minutes or so, I am going to be answering some of your questions that has been sent in. A lot of times, again, whether it's from our website, whether it's from people emailing, or just in daily conversation or things that I'm seeing that it seemed like is a question that licensees need to have an answer to. Again, you can always send your questions at compsnews.com. Again, visit us at axvonnie.com. Again, our Comps News. There are many ways to get in contact with us or me. Again, website, email, or by phone sometimes. So I'm going to go through the round table. In this section, these are digitally sent questions. As I said to you before, one of the biggest questions I'm getting, especially from North Carolina licensee, I have a North Carolina broker license. How do I get my South Carolina license? And it's a really, a very loaded question. So I wanted to kind of just take a moment. It depends on what your status is for North Carolina. Are you a North Carolina provisional broker? And if you're a PB, that means that you have 90 hours. There's one or two ways of splitting your 90 hours. Either you're going to take 90 hours of South Carolina pre-licensing course, or you can take your 90 hours of post-licensing course. And you're like, well, why would I take one over the other? Well, in order to remove your provisional status as a provisional broker, you have to complete 90 hours, again, post-licensing. So once you become a full broker, then you do not have to take any of the South Carolina pre-licensing education. So again, it makes more sense to take the 90 hours of post-licensing versus taking 90 hours of post and 90 hours of South Carolina pre-licensing to get your South Carolina license. If you are a full broker, and that's what I'm kind of saying that you should be before you go ahead and start applying to the South Carolina Real Estate Commission, as a full broker, you can just apply to the South Carolina Real Estate Commission. So again, you think about which one will be the best way. Go ahead and take the 90 hours, move the provisional status, be a full broker in North Carolina, apply to the Real Estate Commission. And once you apply, that means that you have the ability to be able to sit for your state portion of your examination at the state level for South Carolina. Great thing is that you do not have to take any course. There's no mandatory course. We do offer at Comps Academy, again, a kind of like a boot camp to help you to prepare for the state portion, or you can go to the South Carolina Real Estate Commission, get a copy of the license law, study the license law, and get materials to study. My second question, again, that I am answering today is how do I get a South Carolina broker license? So I get this question because, again, a lot of times people have a North Carolina broker license. Again, as we're talking about it for question one, if I have a North Carolina broker's license, can I just get a South Carolina broker's license? And the answer, it kind of depends. If you already have a South Carolina associate license and you have 5 years of experience and with that licensure, then you're able to take, again, the broker A, broker B course for South Carolina to be able to get your broker license. So South Carolina has it where you have to have 5 years of South Carolina associate license experience within the last 5 years. I'm sorry, 5 years within the last 7 years. They just changed this law, so I'm still kind of wrapping my arms around it. But again, this is where you are able to do so. When in doubt, again, when it comes to your license and you're getting a license from another state and all those wonderful things, it is always best to contact the real estate commission, explain what your situation is, and then they can be able to guide you through. But a lot of times people feel like I have this experience in North Carolina that should translate to South Carolina, and that's not necessarily the case. So we're going to talk about some hot topics. Again, being a person who, again, as I was had a meeting today and I was explaining that our school is very unique, where we have South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia kind of education going on. And so it's a very unique kind of school because most places only have one. One of the things that I found very interesting, again, in our hot topics is going to be the South Carolina no brokers exemptions. And so I'm going to tell you what that law is, how that law kind of play out. And then we're going to quickly talk about some CE exemptions or exceptions to the rules, again, based upon states. So starting with the South Carolina exemption, no brokers exemptions. So what are they talking about? Well, let me just give you some basics. In South Carolina, in order to, again, to be an agent, an on-site agent, a builder's agent, you must have a real estate license. Not all state. North Carolina has it where you do not have to be licensed to be an on-site agent. Georgia has it where you don't have to be licensed in order to be an on-site agent. But South Carolina has this very unique kind of rule that you must be licensed. And if that means if you're licensed, that means that the commission is mandating what you can and can't do. Kind of like that. So again, we know that an unlicensed individual cannot explain agency, right? Or any type of real estate forms because again, that is beyond their scope. But in South Carolina, again, agency disclosure is required at first substantive contact based upon, again, license law, commission law. And so when it comes to on-site agents in South Carolina, again, the broker's relationship form should be one of the first form that you're asking, a consumer when they walk into your builder's, property, are you working with an agent? Have you signed anything? Because if they are working with an agent and they do have an agency relationship with another company, it is a violation to interfere with an agency relationship. Why is that significant today in our conversation? Again, I just recently last year created a new construction, course. And so new construction is definitely something that, in today's time that we are appreciating you builders and builders agents, on-site agents, we are appreciating you. Problem is sometimes is that you have where your clients go and visit a home and don't tell you, and then they call you and say, I can't believe what happened today. I visit ABC, community, and I'm really interested in, in the linking, plan, and I'm wanting to write an offer. Some builders are coming back and saying to licensees and agents, well, again, since you were not there during the time when I show, Mrs. Jones that property, therefore you're not the procuring agent and you're not owed any funds. Well, in South Carolina, again, that will be a violation. In other states, because of the fact that you have no agency, again, relationship is required, therefore there is some kind of grayness. And I love this for South Carolina, and I love this for agents, and I love this for builders and site agents to kind of remember that, again, we are we have this thing where agency relationship and agreements must be disclose who you're representing and who you're not. That we cannot interfere with another agent's agency relationship. And again, some of the feedbacks we're getting is that you have builders or on-site agents who are telling licensees that you cannot be involved in a transaction that when a consumer has came to the model home, loved one of the plans, ready to write, and now they bring their agent, and now they're saying that, okay, you're no longer the agent. Why? Because I was the one who showed. This is where we have to ask certain questions before we go too deep in conversation with consumers, which is something that we learn all the way back in pre-licensing. So hopefully that helps. Again, read that law. It's something that I think that, especially in today's, market where we have people who are getting this pushback from builders agents. Again, we love you guys. Again, we can't do what you do as a general brokerage. And again, we appreciate everything that you do. However, again, there are certain situations where we're finding where, when it comes to you having an agency relationship where there are people who are builders who are saying, well, again, you no longer have that relationship. And we know way back when, again, that's not a way to legally terminate an agency relationship with a firm. Moving on to hot topic number 2 is CE exemptions or exceptions to the rules. South Carolina, again, staying in my South Carolina lane, has these exemptions for those who are Georgia residents, right? So this is only for Georgia residents who has a South Carolina license and they have a Georgia license and they live in Georgia. As long as they meet the requirements of Georgia, then they don't have to meet the requirements of continuing education for South Carolina. They just have to show that they have met the requirements for Georgia, and therefore South Carolina would accept all of their credits as being good for South Carolina. When it comes to South Carolina, there's also these exemption or exception to the rules when it comes to residents who have been a licensee for 25 years. Again, they have 25 years of licensure, or you have individuals who are 65 years of age. So these are two exceptions for residents. One, that they have 25 years of experience. The other is if they have 65 years of age. There are some partial or, exception to the rules. And I always tell, again, especially last year when you had all these individuals, again, as I was doing South Carolina Broker in Charge, where people have 25 years plus, 30 years plus as a licensee. Again, kind of asking, did you see whether or not you have an exemption and did you apply for it? Again, did you apply for this exception to the rules? And then, that type of thing. So I love to see people who have 20, 25, 35 years, again, in this business. Again, if you come into a continuing education, believe me, there's a lot to learn. So again, I will not say don't come, but again, there are some exceptions to the rules that allows for you to be able to cut back on some of your education requirements. So let's talk about the North. Again, it's not fair for me to talk about South, not talk about the North. North Carolina do not have any non-resident exemptions. Again, if they don't care. If you're a non-resident, they still expect you to take North Carolina's continuing education. Why? Because they say that you can take education anywhere, right? Again, there's self-paced class. There is, again, live instruction via Zoom. So again, you should be able to find a course, find a class somewhere, sometime that is, reachable to individuals. So again, non-resident, there's no exception to the rules. Also for South Carolina and North Carolina, because I have a lot of South to North, is there any exemptions or credit for South to North? No. Again, right now, South Carolina only has this exemption for when it comes to non-residents with Georgia residents. So if you live in North Carolina, you have to still complete South Carolina requirements. If you're in Texas, you have to still required to complete South Carolina requirements. And North Carolina says, I don't care where you live, you're going to complete North Carolina CEs if you have a North Carolina license. And hopefully that summer, sums it up. For Georgia, I have to say, I don't know much about exemptions yet about Georgia. I just know that they do have, a relationship with South to North. Again, if you have a South Carolina, I think they have, if you have a South Carolina license and you live in South Carolina, I do believe that Georgia would accept your licensure, CEs as a, exemption for Georgia. I think they do in South Carolina and Georgia has it again back and forth. I believe that's the only thing that they have again, as far as I know. I am still learning Georgia. Again, having these three states in my head again at one time or another is kind of interesting. But this is what it requires. Again, learning all these laws. Again, one of the biggest things that is happening in Georgia is if you do hold a broker's license, there's broker continuing education hours that I have talked about again on previous recordings. But if you wanted to know more, again, you can go to axvonnie.com. You can, again, we will record again on Fridays, hopefully sometime Friday mornings. Sometimes it may be Saturday, just depends on how things are going. I don't know about you, but it has been a busy time in real estate. It has been a busy time in general, as people are trying to adjust. We will not have recordings for the next 2 weeks. I know it's like, what? We have the holidays and I have other projects that I am working on, but if I can sneak one in, I will definitely let you know again, especially if something crazy comes out when it in the real estate world. Again, I want us to be the first one to talk about it. I hope that this has been helpful. Again, subscribe to Comps News. Send your questions at compsnews.com, or you can go to axvonnie.com. You can go to our website again for the school at compsacademy.com. Again, I am not hard to be reached. Again, I try to make sure that there's multiple ways to be connected with our school and be connected with the information. So I hope to see you guys, or at least talk to you again in the next 2 weeks. So talk to you soon and have a good holiday. Again, Labor Day is coming up. So again, have a great holiday. So take care.